We are on the golf course this morning, but we're not golfing. We're pulling this water feature out of the ground and putting in something better. And the main issue here was that this thing was leaking water. When I first showed up, the water was about 10-12 inches below the standard water line, and they had only had the float valve off for 4 days, so they were losing 10 to 12 inches of water every 4 days. And I just started pulling this thing apart, and this boulder up here that's supposed to hold the water in, you can see this, the mineral deposits from the hard water and the chlorine right here. This rock was holding the water together with just some silicone in between the rocks. It literally pulled apart just with my hand. It was pushed up like that, and I, no joke, I put my hand on it, and like that, and it pulled apart. So the water is pooling up in here, cascading down that rock right there. And if you follow the trail of minerals, all of this white stuff, you can see that the water was actually coming out here, coming out the back corner, because that silicone's not holding the water in, and then spilling all the way down here, and even down here. All this white. So this was just wet all the time when it used to run. So that's why we got called in to do something about it. And it made more sense at this point to just tear it out and do it better. And why not? Because, you know, my biggest issue with this thing is it's just a staircase. You just walk up it. You know, and I'm sure that happens every now and again out in the wild, but I am not a fan of a staircase waterfall. You know, water is always snaking. If you take a look at Google Maps and look at a river, it's never a straight line. And waterfalls are usually not just cascading straight down a staircase of boulders. So we're going to do something, and we're going to do it my way, the Living Waterscapes way. So right now we're just moving the gravel to give us some clean working space. When we're all done, we can put the gravel back and pretend like we were never here. So right now we're just breaking apart these boulders. We're going to try and save a lot of the boulders for a retaining wall on the back, but I've got a special type of boulders that I picked out at a rock yard near my house, and they're gonna match this rock very well, because this boulder is already here and it's cut into the concrete patio. Actually, no, these are tiles. Yeah, I thought it was stamped concrete. Nope, but it's cut into the patio, and I need to try to match it. And unfortunately, you know, you can't really find this exact rock. It's kind of like a rosy granite, a lot of greens and blues, but kind of a rose color. But yeah, you know, you can only get what's available. The biggest, most prolific rock that you can get is Surface Select, which is what you'll see if you go to Joshua Tree, or like, you know, just driving up to Flagstaff, driving up to Payson, you'll see a lot of those big brown rough boulders. Those are Surface Select. But I found a pallet of boulders that match these really well, and I got some special tricks up my sleeve too. Looks like they had a piece of wood here already in the feature, and I love to have driftwood and just wood in general because it adds to the realism. And I've got something very special planned out for them. This is a cool little piece, got a lot of texture, but it's very light. This is very light, not very dense, and I've got something for them. So day one, ripping it out. Already started off with some hurdles. I lost my keys yesterday at church, and you know, thankfully we've got a great church family, and one of the members of the church staff is actually going to drive the keys up to my wife, and then she'll bring them back to me. So I couldn't, luckily I had a spare, but I couldn't get my concrete saw out of the bin. My doors were locked, so I could drive over here, but I couldn't get into my bin on the side, and I really need a concrete saw to cut through this, and a bigger jackhammer. So stay tuned. Day 2 here on the Pondless waterfall remodel. Just got a little bit more concrete to bust out here. It looks like the way that they built this was actually kind of clever, similar to what I'm about to do, where they built this concrete lip right here. Kind of hard to see in the shadow. There you go. This concrete lip, almost like that's part of the pond, and all these boulders are on top of it. Any water that sneaks through the boulders, like yesterday I was showing how the boulders were like siliconed together. So, you know, if you've got this sloped part of the pond and there's liner underneath it, it's a different type of liner than what I use, more brittle, and it's underneath the concrete. So they laid down that, then they laid down like a wire mesh, and then they concreted over that. So the idea is any water that slips between the boulders on the waterfall would go down in there, and then they had these 2 little pipes that, you know, would never get clogged theoretically, and the water would go back into the bowl. But we were losing water down in this basin without the waterfall even running, so that wasn't even a factor. But if you look over here, we got a ton of dirt packed up on top of there, and there was dirt up here too. We just removed it. So here's the edge of that pond. So I mean, it comes all the way back to here, even though the start of the waterfall was actually right here, but they have it like all the way back there. I don't know what their thinking was behind it, but these are some big boulders. They must have either had multi-man crew or they used a machine, because some of these boulders are really big. We just broke this big giant boulder up into 3 pieces yesterday. We got 1 piece there, 1 piece there, and we took the other piece yesterday. So it was about 3,500 pounds that we took out yesterday, and 4,000 is like the limit that I'm going to load in the bed of my truck. So we'll remove a little bit more of the rocks and get a little bit more of the concrete out, but then we're going to shape this up. We're going to put our aqua blocks in there. I actually got 2 more aqua blocks. Each one's about 20 gallons of water storage. It's like 17 gallons. So if we got 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, then plus this actually sits below the aqua blocks, so that gives you probably another 15 gallons. So about 140 gallons, 130 gallons ish of water storage, and this is not that big of a space. So even if you had 10 feet by 10 feet of 2 inches of water, you would only have 140 gallons approximately. So this is much smaller than that, and that's kind of my thought process on how to size up the vault. So you want the vault to be able to hold all of the water that's running in the stream when it's turned off. That's the idea, because what you don't want is to have it running and the water's underneath here, and then when you turn it off, then the water comes above the aqua blocks, and then you've got pooling water. Because if that's the case, it's not doing what it's designed to do, which is to hide all the water when you don't want to run it, to not have mosquitoes laying eggs, to not have algae growing. So you want to make sure that this is oversized, if anything. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding an extra 2 aqua blocks to oversize that. Gives me a little bit more creative freedom as well. I've just got a bunch of rocks. I've got way more liner than I need. So we're gonna make something cool here. Day 2. Keep checking in. We're a couple hours into day 3, and I think we've got a breakthrough. I just got these 2 new 18-inch bits, 5/8 thickness, and the idea is I don't have I think they're called wedge and feather splitters, and what it is you put the wedge and the feather in holes, and then you tap them and it'll split it. So my hope was if I drilled deep enough that, and I cut it with the saw, that I could use the jackhammer to chop it into pieces and get it out of here. Well, the homeowners really like the boulder. They want to keep it. They didn't even know it was really here. They only saw about this much of it. But I would love to not have to break it up. Those ones are a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to figure out. But I saw a video once of a guy using 2x4s, built like giant wrenches, and he was moving huge boulders, like insanely big boulders. Well, I just remembered that because I was using the jackhammer and it got stuck in one of the holes, and I was able to easily, with my hand up here, just easily move this boulder. And this boulder, I mean, one hand is not going to do it. Day 4, just trying to make sure I get my logistics figured out. We ended up driving across town already once today to get more materials. We needed more dirt, and we needed to get some river rock. So we used the dirt to pack in the aqua blocks from the outside, and we used the gravel to pack it in from the inside of the liner. If you were to put dirt on the inside and run water through it, it would just wash down to the bottom, turn into mud, and it would be a nightmare. So we use small river rock, which are round and won't wash away, to bring our elevations up. So we're going to end up packing in these aqua blocks so that they're nice and tight and don't go anywhere. That'll give us our water basin. That's where all the water is going to be stored. Everything will be locked in. Then we can flip all that liner and fabric back over, and this will all be tucked in, not going anywhere, so we can yank on that liner and fabric without messing up the aqua blocks and stuff. We'll pull that back, and then we'll be able to get our slope. What I want is I just want enough dirt so that it's pitched pretty aggressively, so if any water seeps through my waterfalls, they'll go right down onto the liner and back into there. So you'll see what's going to happen as it progresses here. But we're going to flip that over. We're going to put a nice slope with the dirt. Then once we've got the dirt sloped out the way we want, then we've got to close this off, because right now this is our access point. We're going to bring the wheelbarrow up in here, and we've got to move this big old boulder. Not sure if that's exactly where I want it to go. Big old boulder, but basically these boulders are just going to retain our waterfall, and then from the outside, when we're all done, we can grade out the dirt, add a couple accent boulders, because right now it's just going to be like a ring. It's just going to be like a loop of boulders, and we kind of want to gradually fade away with the boulders. You don't want to just have no boulders and then a ring of boulders and a water feature. Kind of jumps out and just doesn't make sense. So this will be a retaining wall to keep our water feature higher, have more waterfall action, and then we'll kind of pepper some boulders. And we've got a lot of boulders, and the rocks that I got to match these, they're not the exact same rock, but they actually match pretty well. Here's a couple of them side by side. So that one in the middle is the different boulder, and the one on the right is the original rock. So they're very similar. One's more of like a slate. Hard to describe it. When it breaks up, it's got more of a ting, ting, ting sound, and then when the granite breaks up, it's more of a thud. And then these guys make a different sound. So, very interesting. This is our backside. So this is just to get the elevation up higher. And I like that we did it with skinny rocks. They're very skinny and they're very sturdy. The skinniness just allows us to have more water feature. The fatter these boulders are, because there has to be a liner to hold the water in, and then more rock for the water feature. So you got a rock, liner, rock again, maybe some dirt. So you want to try to maximize your space here. All right, we got a wheelbarrow of dirt. Time to start packing this in. All right. Think you can do this? Think you can get that up here?
I think so.
See if we can do it on camera. So stepping on these blocks to keep them in place. I want to get these rocks out of here. I want to have these rocks on the corner. I want to have, it's going to go right where my foot is, basically. But I got to flip the liner up. Get that around. Okay. Now, you hold this. Okay. Now bring that wheelbarrow over here. Dump her in. I got to. Somebody's got to stand on them so that they don't push backwards. I do have a little bit of dirt on the backside, but it's not that tight. Once we have dirt all the way around, then we don't have to worry about them shifting.
Alright, good.
Drop it down a little bit and back it up a little bit. Like drop your hands down, pull it back, right there. Now tilt it, yep. Very slowly, just kind of shake it. Keep going. And almost there. Okay, now grab the sledgehammer. Where's the sledgehammer at? Over there. Real quick. It's over there. Alright, now you're gonna tamp it right in. So, not like that. Oh my goodness. What are you doing? Guy just took a full-blown swing. Instructions unclear.
There we go.
How about like this?
Yes, sir.
Not a full swing. This thing weighs 10 pounds. All you gotta do is drop it. You don't even have to push hard. You just drop it and it's packing the dirt in. Oh my goodness, you almost took out the aqua block. You're lucky you didn't miss. That would have been a problem. But there would have been a solution. Would have been coming out of his paycheck.
Yes, sir.
Okay.